without further ado, I'd like to introduce the next speaker. Please, with a round of applause, I'd like you to, ginger Shehu Abdegani to the stage. Shehu Abdegani is an experienced SEO consultant, you're not clapping, and strategist with over 7 years of experience. Is the founder of Your Content Mat, an SEO agency that helps B2B SaaS startups acquire user signups and paying customers from organic growth. Please welcome on stage Shehu Abdegani.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate you for the warm welcome. Okay, the slide is not yet up. So my topic is about insights from African startups that are killing it with SEO and content marketing. Mr. Sadiq. Okay. So. Okay, so while we wait for the slides to be put up, I think the panel before now has really dealt with a lot of things I actually wanted to share in my presentation. So because this presentation was actually from the deep interest I have in African startups doing SEO and content marketing. So because for most of us here, especially those of us that do content marketing in Nigeria, in Africa, most of us, we serve clients outside Nigeria, outside Africa. So, and the truth is that content marketing actually works. So businesses are driving results from it. We've seen people go from zero to millions of dollars to exit because of their investment in content marketing. So we've seen a lot of those things. So it now, I was now thinking, okay, how can we localize this? How can we bring this home? How can we also ensure that African businesses, African startups also invest in content marketing, in SEO? So it shouldn't just be that when you want to do content marketing, it's all about brands that are outside Nigeria, brands that are outside Africa. We should also do it for brands that are in Nigeria, in Africa. So that is just the overall goal of my presentation. So we are still waiting for the slides to be up. So, but while we do, I'll just say that in the presentation is two things. The first thing is I want to kind of stir up a conversation for African businesses, to just ginger them, let me put it that way. So to ginger them that you should also do SEO and content marketing. Don't sleep on it. It actually works. It drives business results. So because everything is all about growth. So you want to grow revenue, you want to grow the number of users you have, you want to achieve new milestones, you want to do a lot of things. So SEO and content marketing can help you to do that. So I'll be doing two things. First, I'll be sharing some playbooks, some frameworks based on the insights, from the research I did from companies in Nigeria, in Africa, that are actually doing SEO and content marketing. So that's the first thing. Then the second thing is, so we'll get started immediately because we've actually spent a couple of time away. So let's continue next. So this is a brief introduction, so which has already been done. But one thing I just want to mention here, a lot of people have told me yesterday and even just now that the picture I have here is actually different from the reality. So, actually I took the picture a couple of years ago. to be frank. So probably I need to update my profile picture. So next. The discussion here is actually from these LinkedIn posts from Dozier Anyibunam. So that was about 2023. So the summary of what Dozier said was, African content marketers, it's about time we started pitching content marketing as a service to African startups. So, and the post generated a lot of heated arguments. So a lot of people disagreed with Dozier because it was just talking about the issues we all see, that a lot of African startups are not doing content marketing. They are not doing SEO. So he was like telling everyone that don't say that they are not doing it and just sit back and not educate them and not try to influence them to do it. So next. So this is actually not the topic of my presentation, so I don't want to convince anyone here, if you're a content marketer, to pitch your service to a startup, but I just want to use this as like a prelude to the background on why I pitched this topic to the Search Africon team. Next. So this was my comment on Dozier's post on LinkedIn. So the summary, without going deep into the comment, was just, I mentioned that with time and more education, African startups will invest more in content marketing. So that was the summary. It's something I believe then, I still do till date, and I believe that as time goes on, as more African startups are educated on what they are missing out on, they will know that they need to also invest in SEO and content marketing. Next. So my goal with this presentation is simple. So I want to stay up with conversation. I think I mentioned it previously, that African startups are actually sitting, they are actually sleeping, let me put it that way, on SEO and content marketing. These are just channels that you can use to grow your business. So a lot of people have businesses, but they are not experiencing the exponential growth that they want or that they ought to have. So because they are not investing in content marketing, so they are just there running ads or doing some influencer marketing that in some cases they spend a lot of money, and at the end of the day it doesn't really drive the results that they need. So before we proceed, there are two caveats I want to mention. So the first one is actually the fact that this presentation has a lot of screenshots. So because I actually wanted to make it actionable, I want to show startups that are here that these are examples of brands in Africa, not from outside Africa, that are actually doing SEO and content marketing. So the second caveat is that it's just for everyone here, is that any brand you see me mention here, I don't have any affiliation with them, so I'm not recommending that you go and use the brand. It's just to show you what they are actually doing right as far as SEO and content marketing is concerned. So with that, we can now proceed into the insights. So more or less the playbooks and the examples on how you can drive business results from SEO and content marketing in Africa. So next, so the first insight is establish authority with thought leadership content. So next. So when you are a new entrant into the African startup ecosystem, so there are a lot of questions that people ask. I think one of the panelists also mentioned it. So it's an issue of trust. So people will think, who is this? What are they doing? How are they different? They want to know. They start asking questions. So, and they will ask, so we are typically skeptical. That's an African thing. So when someone reaches out to you anywhere, you are skeptical that what is in it for this person? What do they want from me in return? So we are typically skeptical, and we find it difficult to trust something new. Next. So this is where thought leadership comes in. So you need to create thought leadership content. And the focus here is like, you want to show the people you are selling to, your target audience, that you actually know what you are doing, so that they can see you as an authority. So you don't want them to see that this guy is an imposter, or this guy is just a Me Too startup. So you want to stamp your authority. And one of the best ways to do that in Africa is to use thought leadership content. So especially if you're in the B2B space. So fintech, B2B fintech, I'll be showing quite some examples now so that you know that you see examples of thought leadership content done right and how you can do. So this first one is from Paystack. So you can see this an article on their blog. It was written, I think, 2022 or 2023. So this is about how NIBS instant payment powers Nigeria's digital economy. So we all know Paystack is a tool that helps businesses in Africa to receive payments, so from all over the world. So mostly they focus on Africa, but you can also use it to receive payment from outside Africa. Next. So this is also another one, the evolution of agency banking in Nigeria. This is also from Paystack. Next, a fintech's guide to building a card issuing program. This is from Kora. So Kora is also a payment infrastructure that helps businesses in Africa to receive payments, so like cross-border payment infrastructure. That's what Kora provides. So this is also another example. I think the heading is different. So this is a guide to cross-border payments for African businesses from Kora. Next, how to build and launch a fintech product in Africa. So this is also from Kora. So all these examples, you see that they have one thing in common. If you are not a practitioner in the B2B space, in the fintech space, like these articles will not resonate with you. You will not even understand what they are talking about. So you don't even know what NIBS is and how it works and all those things related to it. So the key takeaway from here is this. Thought leadership content helps to separate the boys from the men. So when I say the boys are those that are probably just getting started in the business, and the men are those that have been in the business for a while. They've established authority. People see them as experts in their industry. So when you are getting started as a B2B startup in Africa, so you should use thought leadership content to show the expert in your industry that you know what you are doing. So that is the first insights for African startups. So the next one is share your big wins in public. So I think one of the panelists actually mentioned this. So next. So you might have come across this phrase somehow, somewhere. So someone might have said it beside you. God, when? You know, when someone buys a Lamborghini, so everyone will be shouting, God, when? So you bought a house in Lekki, God, when? So you traveled outside, maybe you went for vacation, anything. So your friend, you came to Search Africon, right? So God, when? So you see, the thing is that as Africans, we are often secretive. So, especially when it comes to sharing good news, like we all have this feeling. Maybe I might not say Africans, but let me say Nigerians. So let it not be that I'm generalizing. So, but we have this feeling that you have to preserve some things. So you don't want everyone to know what you are up to. You don't want everyone to know how far you've gone. And you don't want everyone to know that your journey, how it is progressing. So this is where sharing your big news comes in. So if you have a big news to share, it will likely go viral. And the reason is simple. Most people are not doing that. So most startups, they won't share their big news because they want to behave like a typical African. So they don't want to share. They don't want people to know how far. You understand? So they don't want to share the big news. So if you do it as an African startup, it will help you to get more exposure, because as you are sharing it, everyone will be shouting, God, when, God, when, God, when, and you see that the whole world knows about what you are doing. So usually, when it comes to big news in the African startup scene, so it's usually fundraising announcement. So you hear X startup raised $500,000 at $10 million valuation. Y startup raised $1 million at $100 million valuation. So those are the big news we are used to before. You understand? So now, you can take it a step further. So it's not just about sharing your fundraising announcement. So no, you can take it a step further. And let's look at some brilliant examples. So this one is from Piggyvest. We all know Piggyvest is a technology startup that helps Nigerians to save and invest money. So this is one of their reports, annual reports. So a look back at 2024 by Piggyvest. And one of the important, one of the important news from this is that Piggyvest paid out 835 billion naira to its users in 2024. So everyone was sharing this on social media. A lot of news outlets were promoting it. So because Piggyvest was not like secretive about what they are doing. So this is also another example from Paystack. So recently they processed 1 trillion naira in 1 month. So if you're in Nigeria, you know that it's actually a big deal. So for just a company to process 1 trillion naira in 1 single month. So they did that and they shared it far and wide. So this one is from Selar. So Selar paid out 9.88 billion naira to African creators in 2024. So like everyone will be wondering, like, what is Selar? How are they doing? How can I join? Me, I want to make money. So that's it. So everyone will be talking about that. So this is also from Paystack. They disbursed over 29 billion naira in salaries in 2024. So they shared it in their annual reports. So these examples, you can see that all these companies are not shy. So, and if you're a startup in Africa, you should not be too shy to blow your startup's trumpet. So use your big wins to show your lovers and haters, or you can say enemies. So you show them that you're on the right track, you understand? So those people that feel that this startup, what startup are you doing? So share your big news so that they can know that your startup is actually growing. So the next point is about storytelling. So I said tell relatable and entertaining stories. So you see, Africans, the way we are built is that we put ourselves in other shoes. We want to know how others succeeded. We want to know the mistakes of others so that we can avoid them. And we want to know what others are doing right or wrong. Next. So, and what this means is that as a startup in Africa, if you are building your content marketing strategy, storytelling should be a core part of it. So don't leave out storytelling. So you have to tell stories. So because Africans love good stories. So we love good stories. We love people that can entertain us. We love people that can tell us, mirror our current experiences, like tell us that, okay, this is what you are doing, this is how someone else that was doing it, and this is how what they've achieved, and on and on. So what type of stories should you tell? I want us to look at some examples. So this one is from Selar. So we know Selar. Selar is a startup that helps creators to make money online. Let me put it that way. So this example is said how Ransford earns $5,000 a month on Selar while helping clients build confidence through fitness. So you can see this is a story that will resonate with a typical African. So you think, Selar, $5,000. How can I join? I want to make $5,000 a month. So how do I do it? What's the step? What are the processes? So that's another example is also from Selar. So this from makeup artist to 7 figures in content writing. How Busayo Joan changed her life. So you'll be wondering, content writing. Can you really make money from content writing? So, and these are some of the stories that Selar has on its blog. So this is also another good example from Piggyvest. They have this series of money stories. So they tell money stories about Africans. So because they help people to make more money by saving and investing. So they tell a lot of money stories. So you can see this one is typically is about my money mistakes. So like, what are the money mistakes that people have made that you can learn from? So an example here, you can see my money mistake, I lost over 3 million naira to Ponzi scheme. So anyone in Africa will resonate with that. Like, Ponzi scheme is something that it's a trap that a lot of Africans have fallen into. So anyone that comes across this kind of story, it will resonate with them. Another example from Piggyvest, next. These also six-figure. So six-figure stories. So these sharing the stories of people that were making, probably they were not making much before, then showing how they progressed in their career. Please go back a bit, previous. So an example here, you can see someone saying six-figure, I went from 44K per month to 5.4 million naira per month in 6 years. So this will interest a lot of people like her. 44,000 naira in a month. How can you progress to 5.4 million naira in 6 years? So another good example. Next. So this is also from Piggyvest, and this is actually a stories from their annual report, which I will talk about shortly. Next. So this one is from Paystack. So Paystack, what they do well is they share the behind the scenes of building a startup in Africa. So you can see this screenshot is actually way back in the early days of Paystack, and they run an internship program, and they learned a lot of things, and they shared it with their audience. So because most of the people using Paystack are businesses. So, and who are those doing internships? Businesses. So next. So this also from Paystack is from a recent event that they had in Nigeria. So they had their company retreat here in Lagos, and they wrote a blog post detailing their experience, planning everything, like everything, how they did it from A to Z. So they wrote a good story related to that, and I believe that will resonate with their target audience. So the key takeaway from here is this: use storytelling to connect deeply with your target audience. So if you want to connect with Nigerians, with Africans, you have to tell stories. So there are no two ways about it. So when you use storytelling, you show them you understand the challenges they are facing and how your startup helps to solve them. So this is what Piggyvest does. So when you read any of those, My Money Mistake or Six Figures, so the end goal is that they want to show you that, okay, if you are making this, for instance, you fell into a Ponzi scheme, instead of why will you fall into that in the first place? Probably because you don't have a savings culture, you don't have an investment culture, and they use it as a way to show you that, of course, you can use Piggyvest and do these things seamlessly without falling into Ponzi scheme again. So that's that. So the next example, the next insight, which is actually a very interesting one, is create an annual report for your industry. While I was thinking through about it, I just realized that there's actually little to no data about most things in Africa. So we are here in Lagos, Nigeria, and if you ask probably the policymakers or those that are in charge of some things, maybe Lagos might be trying in some areas. So, but if you go to most states in Nigeria, like even in the federal government, some agencies, we don't have a lot of data. So most of the data we use in Nigeria, in Africa, they are actually imported. So most of the sources, they are not based in Nigeria. They might not even have a base in Nigeria. They might use a global yardstick to measure what is happening in Nigeria. Next. So because there isn't enough data, this is where annual reports come in. So the government is not doing its job. Policymakers are not doing their job. Maybe NGOs, they are not doing their job. So if you're a startup, you can take it up. So instead of guessing like others do, and one thing that is interesting is that as a startup, you have customers, you have a base. So probably you have 10,000 users, 100,000 users. Some startups even have millions of users. So there isn't data. People are not mining those data. They are not using those data. So you can reach out to your customers to get those insights from there. And the best part is that because data is scarce in Africa, most people will share it for you. So you don't even need to stress yourself that how can I get people to share it for me? When you have a very good data that will resonate with a lot of people based on the research you've carried out, most people will do that, they sharing for you. And if you position it very well, it will help you to actually gain a lot of exposure in your industry, because everybody will be talking about your data, that have you read these companies' annual reports and so on. So let's take a look at some examples. So this one is from Selar. So Selar started doing these, I think, in 2023. So they have these top 100 creators in Africa. So they publish it every year. So it's actually a report that their team does every year that, okay, they want to celebrate the top African creators. So, and these from their own insight. And a lot of people, when you include them in such type of list, they will also share it with their audience as well. So another example is from Piggyvest. So this is a very interesting example, and I will share something I read about this. I didn't confirm it, but I read it from another creator. So Piggyvest started this savings report. They called it Piggyvest Savings Report. So they started it in 2023. So, and in 2023, they interviewed or they surveyed 1,000 Nigerians on how they save and invest money. So in 2024, they took it a step further and they surveyed 10,000 Nigerians to learn how they save and invest money. So next. So these are a snippet. Next. Okay, so this is a snippet from the annual report from Piggyvest. So you can see it was actually a well-written report, well-designed, like it's easily shareable, and it is perfect. So one of the things I read about this was from Community. I don't know, I can't remember the creator's name. So he mentioned that after releasing the 2024 report for the Piggyvest Savings Report, Piggyvest mentioned that they got their biggest savings till date, the next day after they released this Piggyvest Savings Report. So I can't confirm it, but that's what I read from Communique. So this is also another example. The state of the employed report. So this from Paid HR. So this typically, okay, if you are an employed person in Nigeria, what happens to you? How much can you typically make? So what is the, how do you spend your money? What do you spend your money on? And this is a snippet from the report by Paid HR. So you can see here, it shows you that they said the only thing Nigerian employees can afford to save this year is themselves. So like, so that was an interesting one when I read it. So like, and you can see they had a lot of insights on that report. And one interesting thing about this Paid HR report is that they also added a calculator. Please, previous. So you can see they have a calculator. So that calculator, you can use it to actually calculate what you expect to make as an employee in any local government in Lagos. I think they started with Lagos. Probably they will extend it to other states, probably Nigeria, and maybe Africa. So next. So the key takeaway here is this. People need data to support or invalidate their opinion. So because when we are talking, a lot of people make a lot of assertions and they don't have any data to back it up. So they can't say, maybe someone might say that 150 million Nigerians are poor. You understand it? So where did you get that report from? So if you ask them, they will maybe quote one World Bank report that was published 10 years ago. So, and they can't tell you that, okay, that is still the case till date. Or maybe someone might say that we have about 200 million Nigerians. Where did you get that data from? So that was the last census that was done in, I think, 2006. So that's the source of that data. So you can see that we all need data to actually get to validate our opinions. And if you're a startup in Africa, you can use annual report to strategically position yourself as that company that is sharing your data with the target audience, relevant data. So this next slide, the next insight, is actually something I'm also I have key interest in. So because of what I do as an SEO specialist, so which is that we all talk about SEO. So does SEO work for Africa? Okay, how many startups are investing in SEO? If you search for any keyword that is African related, so how do you even have startups in Africa, in Nigeria, that are ranking on Google for those keywords? So this is why this insight is about targeting long tail keywords with low search volume. So let's move on. So now, this is a question, do Africans really search for things on Google? Well, one thing I realized is that, especially while doing this research, I found out that when you search for a lot of things, maybe using SEMrush, using Ahrefs, and some of these other tools, you see that the data doesn't back it up. It shows maybe you search for a lot of keywords, you see maximum of 1,000 searches per month. You can't see them in the 10,000s, in the 100,000. So, as a typical SEO specialist, you might feel that, is there an opportunity here? Search is a way to generate demand. So an existing demand, you want to tap from it. So you are now thinking, are people actually searching for things on Google in Africa? Next. So this means that if you want to build an SEO strategy for an African audience, you must focus less on search volume. So that is what I my deduction from it. So what you should do instead, you should prioritize customer-centric keywords, even if the search volume is low. So what I mean by customer-centric keywords are keywords directly from your customers. So just like Stella mentioned in her presentation about doing customer stories, case studies. So one of the ways you can actually identify keywords to target is by interviewing your customers. So you understand their pain points, you understand their buying triggers, you understand how they search for your solution online. So just like she shared in her presentation. So now let's explore some African startups that are leveraging SEO as a strategy. So the first example here is LendSquare. So LendSquare is a loan management system, so for Africans. So it's a B2B startup. So if you are lending people in Africa, so LendSquare can help you. So this one of the keywords that, no, please go back. So this is one of the keywords that are ranking high from Google. You can see how to get started as a lender in Zimbabwe. So even if you use Zimbabwe's IP to search it, they are also ranking for it on Google. So another one, how to get a lending license in South Africa. So you see, no one will search for all these things if you are not interested. It is customer centric. So how to get a lending license in South Africa. Next. And another example is GigPay Africa. So GigPay helps people freelancers mostly to receive payments from their clients abroad, and you can also use it as to pay for services online. So this is one of the keywords that are ranking for GigPay versus Payoneer. Okay, so you can see is the comparison keywords. Next, so you have how to receive payment from Upwork in Nigeria. So this is a pain point that Nigerians have. How can I receive payment from Upwork? So next, Press One Africa helps businesses to get a phone number. So, and this is one of the keywords that are ranking for apps to get US number. If you're in Nigeria, you are interested in knowing that. And this is also another example, how to get a virtual SIM in Nigeria. So, next. So the key takeaway from here is that most African startups ignore SEO because they think it doesn't work. So we feel that SEO doesn't work, but the reality is that it does work. So what you need to do is that you focus on using customer-centric SEO strategy so that you can dominate the search for high-intent keywords in your niche. So let's move on. So another example is building an active and engaging social media presence. Okay, next. So we all know about all of these platforms: Gislover, Instablog, Yaba Left Online. You see, so the thing is that we want to know what is happening around us. You understand? So, like, we want to know gist. What's the thing? What's happening in town? So, and that's why you see that we're always dominating the social media platforms. If you go to what's it called, Twitter, Nigerians are there. Dominating discussions on Twitter and other platforms as well. So, and that's because we want to know what is happening around us. Okay, so we have a couple of examples of brands that are doing well, and what that means. Before I go to the examples, why they put up the okay, so here's the surprising thing. Even if you run a social media strategy with your company's account, it still works in Africa, actually. So it works, and I'll show you some examples. So let's go on. So these are some things you need to do, like if you want social media to work for you in Africa: memes, trend jacking, videos, Twitter Space, host them, Instagram Live. All these things you need to be doing. A giveaway, you give people money. So if you are in Africa as a startup, don't be stingy. So if you are stingy, you don't want to give people something, you not get any results. So let's explore some examples of brands doing well on social media. So you have Piggyvest, is still there. So Piggyvest, generally, they have more than 500,000 social media followers. So you can see the breakdown: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. So you can see they have all these people following them on social media. And they are not posting from a personal account. It's from the brand's account. Yes? So you have Carrywise. So Carrywise also has more than 200,000 followers on social media. So you have the breakdown there. Next. So you have Selar. Selar too is doing well on social media, especially I would say on Instagram. They are doing well, so you can see the breakdown from there. Now, so the key takeaway here is that if you're a startup in Africa, you should leverage the power of social media. So, but you need to play the game right if you want to win. So social media is huge in Africa. So as a startup in Africa, you must leverage it. So moving on. So now, investing in video content. So this is also another example. While I was doing the research, I find out that a lot of brands in Africa they are not doing videos. So most of them are not doing videos, except for those that are doing it for entertaining purposes, but doing it for for educational purposes. So you are not. We can't see a lot of examples. So if a startup, videos could actually help you to spread the word about your brand to an African audience. So let's take a look at and two examples actually. One is here, I will mention the other one. So we have Selar. So Selar invests in SEO, in video. So especially on YouTube, they have a very good YouTube channel that has over 24,000 subscribers, videos and views. So that's Selar. They are doing pretty well on with video. Another example that is not on the slide is Bamboo. So Bamboo is also doing well with videos. I think they have less than 200 videos, but they have more than 2 million views across their channel. So that's also another good example. Next. So the key takeaway here is that most African startups are still sleeping on video content. So you can take advantage of this to create educational content for your audience on YouTube. So YouTube especially, you can use it to actually do a lot of things as an African startup. Next. So now this is the final part. So these are just some other good examples of brands that are doing some marketing strategies that are not popular. So some of the ones I mentioned previously, they are popular, but some of these examples, that's why I said I tag it as zig while others zag. So let's move on. So let's take a look at some, move on. So you have this one. So Decode FinTech. So a lot of people didn't know. Paystack actually had a media brand. So the media brand, they call it Decode Fintech. So it was a newsletter and also a podcast. So they had the newsletter, they were also hosting a podcast. Unfortunately, it's no longer running, but it's a very good example that startups, especially in the B2B space, that they can leverage. Next. So next, this from the Paystack newsletter. Next. So this one is Selar. So Selar's viral comparison strategy. I don't know if you have come across these ads. So we all know what's the name of that brand again that they compare themselves against. Cheaper cash, exactly. So we know that. So cheaper cash. You know what cheaper cash? No, let me not say. So, but what they did here is like they just compared Selar, which is a cheaper cash competitor. So just a way of showing them that stop losing your money to cheaper. Okay, so you can use Selar. So if you use Selar, this is how much you will get. Okay, so if this is how much you will get. If you exchange $1,000, so from Selar, and if you do it from cheaper, this is what you get. So this is a very good strategy, and it actually went viral, and a lot of people loved it. Next. So this Selar, so they have an annual virtual summit. So that's why I included it here. So a lot of people think if you want to host a summit, it needs to be physical. So Selar started this annual virtual summit, and they've been hosting it. I think they've hosted the 3rd edition last year. So and they invite a lot of. So this one is also from Piggyvest. So Piggyvest has this savings calculator. So what it does is that it shows you that if you save, if you want to save so amount of money. Till this date, this is what you will get at the end of it. So this is a very good example. And this one is Learn Square. So they have this, what I call the employee advocacy program on LinkedIn. So one of the panelists talked about LinkedIn. So if you're a B2B startup, so because Learn Square is a B2B, so they have this program. I just use this as an example. Adedeji Olowe is the founder of Learn Square, and this Oluwapelumi Abimbola is actually an employee of Learn Square. So what they do is that the employees are actually posting about lending on LinkedIn. So their founder is also posting about lending on LinkedIn. And what they do is when someone posts, they will reshare. So this the founder reposting what one of the employees has posted. So just to summarize, so this is, if you are a startup in Africa and you want to win at SEO and content marketing, so this is a summary of what you need to do. So the first, you can establish authority with thought leadership content. You can also share your big wins in public, and also tell relatable and entertaining stories. Create an annual report for your industry. Target long-tail keywords with low search volume. Build an active and engaging social media presence. Invest in video content. And the final one, think outside the box, which is zig while others zag. So I really appreciate you for your time, and I thank you very much for listening.